News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
5:05 now on this Thursday afternoon, and with your KVNU local headlines, and we'll feel right. Well, investor Kevin O'Leary is now saying that a planned $15 billion Stratus data center project in Boxer County remains viable despite primary election losses for several supportive politicians earlier this week. Now, among those, Utah Senate President Stuart Adams lost his primary election bid Tuesday night, while Boxer County Commissioners Boyd Bingham and Lee Perry lost their seats. Now, all three had backed the Stratus Data Center project despite local opposition. Now, Adams, of course, also chairs the Utah Military Installation Development Authority, which is collaborating with O'Leary on the development. Now, O'Leary said yesterday that political turmoil facing Republican incumbents nationwide will not affect the project, and he called for unanimous political support based on the project's merits, emphasizing that he believes it'll bring high-paying jobs and a massive investment to Utah. Now, the Shark Tank star said he anticipates visiting the state soon as the project moves into the preliminary process. Well, conservative radio talk show host Glenn Beck will be speaking at the Franklin County Events Center coming up on Saturday as part of the community's America 250 celebration. Now, Beck's lecture will highlight American history and support the local historic preservation efforts for the Oneida Stake Academy building and the Larson Sant Library expansion. Now, he's scheduled to showcase pieces of his own personal collection of historical artifacts during two presentations that'll be Saturday afternoon at 1 and 3:30. Then he'll also headline a dinner event that'll be taking place at 6 o'clock. Now, Alexis Beckstead, who's president of the Oneida Stake Academy Foundation, said that Beck is a major draw for the region. Now, Beckstead noted that over 100 people have already registered for the dinner, and space is limited, but tickets are still available for the Oneida Stake Academy fundraiser. You can get more information on their website. And fraudulent emergency calls in Riverton resulted in both a bomb threat and a supposed shooting. This all happened yesterday afternoon. Now, Riverton City official Nate Slack said the police received a call just after 1:30 of a man claiming that he had shot a family member. Now, because the caller had stated that the victim was not breathing, numerous police units rushed to the scene, and officials even issued a reverse 911 alert to the surrounding neighborhood. But when police arrived on the scene, they found no injuries or any evidence of gunfire. Now, several individuals were briefly detained for questioning, but no arrests were made. Now, about that same time, Riverton police said they also responded to a bomb threat at the local Costco store, which investigators also determined was unfounded. Now, Slack noted that local bomb threats have been trending recently, and police are now investigating the source of those two calls. Well, some clouds through the rest of the afternoon as temperatures have been in the high 80s today. Now tonight will drop to about 57 this evening before we'll be back into the low 90s tomorrow. We'll continue to see mostly clear skies overnight into tomorrow with some smoky haze still in the skies. But as we head toward tomorrow night, the storm expected to start to come in, and this storm is expected to bring not only some measurable rainfall, thunderstorms, but also some colder weather. Saturday, highs are going to be right around 73. Sunday, highs are going to be right around 66. So big change coming in our forecast for this weekend. And, of course, that is impacting some events that are coming up. Franklin, Idaho Days, I know, have moved their fireworks because of the storm. Well, weather is brought to you this hour by Cardall's Insulation. They can always take care of insulating your home, not only making it more efficient, but quiet as well. It's Cardall's Insulation. Call them at 755-5012. And I'll have another check of local news coming up at the bottom of the hour as KVNU News Time is now 5:09.
This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. We are now Alera Group. Need home or auto insurance? What about your business, general liability, and workers' comp? You have employees? What about their health benefits? Our team now works with more carriers, more options. You get national strength with the same small town team. Come in, same friendly faces, same local office. Or call 435-752-0101.
Local Talk. Afternoons at 4 with For the People.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Danes, where he can customize a hearing improvement program to meet your needs. Call 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
What you've been missing, bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
Dan Goldman, congressman, Jewish member of Congress, was told at a coffee shop in New York City that he wasn't welcome and he had to stay away, that his money was no good there, and smeared the guy as a... And Dan Goldman, look, he's a Democrat. He's a nice guy. According to the Washington Free Beacon, guess who the coffee shop owner that did this is supporting? Graham Plattner.
Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. 85 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 5:11 in the afternoon, which feels kind of cool compared to yesterday and earlier today. It's warm out there. Hope everyone's enjoying, making the most out of it. A lot to talk about this hour. Cache County Council Chair Sandi Goodlander will be joining us. Cache County Council this week voted to move forward with a data center moratorium, and it's led to a lot of confusion, mainly because in a couple of social media groups in Box Elder and Weber County, the Cache County's vote to put in place a data center moratorium was perceived as a success. Whereas in Box Elder County, they'd been told by commissioners, two of which who just lost their primaries earlier this week, that they didn't have many options once the MITA board had done its work selling the property, put the commissioners in a tough spot. Their elections became referendum, basically, on the data center proposal, but unfairly. And I agree with them, actually. If I were Commissioner Lee Perry or anyone in Box Elder County who's been struggling with this, or Commissioner Bingham, I would be very angry with Stuart Adams and the MITA board for going about it the way they have. We also have a pullout showing that Utahns pretty chill. And by that, I mean cold, not warm to at all, the whole data center thing in general in Box Elder County, mainly due to its location and water issues and concerns in northern Utah. But interestingly enough, this poll also asked some other questions, like what is your perception of Kevin O'Leary of O'Leary Digital, Mr. Wonderful, he calls himself, the Shark Tank billionaire behind the proposed Stratus project. We'll talk about what Utahns had to say in answer to that question. A lot of this just staying in the news, surprising to me and many people. And, of course, in the election results, Senate President Stuart Adams lost his primary on Tuesday. Two Box Elder County commissioners lost their primaries on Tuesday. Only two of the three were up for re-election. And Box Elder County was the only place where State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, as a congressional candidate, actually was ahead of Blake Moore. Congressman Blake Moore won the district outright, and by county, Davis, Weber, Davis, Weber, Cache, and Ridge counties, roughly a 60-40 split. What you'd normally see if you had in a general election, a Republican and a Democrat running against each other, 60 for the Republican, 40 for the Democrat. That's basically how the race turned out for Congressman Blake Moore, which is a big win for him. That is beyond a mandate for re-election. But interestingly enough, in Box Elder County, this anti-incumbent sentiment boiled over into that race as well. And Moore, I'm guessing, was perceived as, a part of the incumbent group behind this proposed data center. So Box Elder County, Carrie Ann Lisenby actually beat Congressman Blake Moore by 32 votes. So barely, but still, only place in the district where that happened. Everywhere else, Congressman Blake Moore just sailed to re-election. So my point is, This isn't popular. Deseret News decided to ask some questions about that. We'll break the poll down and talk about what, if anything, it means going forward. That's coming up in just a bit. On that same note, Sandi Goodlander will be joining us. Cache County Council, again, approved a 6-month moratorium on any proposed data center construction here in Cache County. A couple of things. A moratorium is not a ban. It's a pause. And 2, there are no data center proposals for Cache County. No one's sure if there even would be, based on our location, the fault line, the fact that we all sit on top of a nice, shifty former lake bed. May not ever be the location that developers would like for something as big and as intensely cost intensive, I should say, as a data center. But the county recognized that there were no rules in place. Should someone propose building a data center in Cache County, the Cache County Council could find itself in the exact position that Box Elder County commissioners found themselves in, which was basically being put over a barrel by the state MITA board and its chair, Stuart Adams. So they want to avoid this, understandably. So we'll talk about with Sandi what the vote actually means and what happens next. Now that the county has approved the moratorium, what's the next step in all of this? Putting guardrails in place to make sure that a state board like MITA can't just do what they tried to do to Box Elder County, which is kind of just shove one down their throats. After MITA board, the state board had already done all of the land wheeling and dealing, putting the county commissioners in Box Elder County in a tough spot. How can Cache County avoid that? We'll talk with Sandi about that. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. So before we get to all of that, a big announcement today from Governor Cox. Yesterday, Governor Cox was opining. I don't even remember what he was originally talking about at some event. And he was asked about concern with the July 4th fireworks intense weekend just around the corner and the number of human-caused fires we've already seen here in Utah. The fact that wildfire season actually started in March this year is even drier now. Governor Cox was asked, is there concern about fireworks and any talk of statewide or locale-based fireworks ban? The governor said, well, the legislature does not allow my office or themselves to ban fireworks statewide. They leave it to the cities. But the legislature, interestingly enough, has also told the cities they can't ban them outright, citywide, things like that. The governor's office decided after, I would assume 24 hours of very loud public feedback that they should probably do something. So with 6 large fires burning in the state, the smoke in Cache Valley's air is what we're experiencing for the most part. And as awful as that is, and as dry and scratchy as my throat is from having been outside most of the day, I will take that over the actual fires any day, but it'd be great if we had neither. Not our fortune this summer, to say the least. But Governor Cox's office acknowledging that July 4th weekend could, in a lot of areas, make this a lot worse. Governor Cox has issued an executive order ordering fireworks restrictions ahead of the July 4th holiday. Governor Cox said in a statement today, when people who have dedicated their lives to protecting Utah, meaning the firefighters, are telling us again and again, this year is different, this year is worse, we desperately need to listen. So the governor said that after speaking with professionals, firefighters, the Utah Forester's Office, city officials, and more from around the state, they held this press conference today standing in front of basically a newly charred foothill in Salt Lake County. This was a human-caused fire, and Utah Governor Cox announced that the state will restrict fireworks statewide over the July 4th weekend. The executive order grants temporary authority to the state forester to prohibit fireworks use entirely from July 2nd through the 5th in designated areas. So Cities and towns will be the final decision makers here. According to the executive order, cities and towns working with the state forester will decide, where this actually needs to happen. And that will happen in close consultation with local fire officials. Here in Cache County, for example, that would be Logan Fire Marshal, the County Fire Marshal, working with the state forester, working with regional fire professionals. I'm assuming, folks that are intimately involved with wildland firefighting in general, including Representative Casey Snyder and others, might be asked to consult. Basically, everyone will get a chance to weigh in, and areas that are designated as too risky to allow it, fireworks can actually be banned from July 2nd to July 5th in Utah this year. Again, this is being left primarily up to cities and towns to designate the areas. The executive order allows cities and towns to designate small regional areas within their city boundaries. This isn't an on-off switch approach where a city either bans outright the use of fireworks within city limits or doesn't. Cities will be allowed to say, in these areas for this specific holiday, maybe not for the 24th, but definitely for this one. Let me just be Mr. Balloon Burster here. If it's too dry for fireworks in a certain area in your city on July 4th, it is only going to be worse July 24th. So my advice, we all wrap our heads around the fact that in many areas, it is not going to be safe for fireworks this July 4th. And you should quickly get yourself up to speed on professional fireworks shows that are being done by your city or neighboring cities that you can take advantage of. So in the news release from the governor's office today, they said that they will revisit this issue before the July 24th Pioneer Day holiday. They said that, they'll possibly even be looking at more aggressive restrictions then. But again, Governor Cox today said when the men and women in our firefighting community are telling us this year is different, this year is worse, we need to listen. And there was some talk about that. What makes this year different and worse? Well, the biggest thing is it was just a wet enough spring to get the grass growing good, the fuel. The problem is there was no snowpack backing that up. So the snowpack was gone by in some areas 1st of May. That's when the drying out starts to happen. So snowpack's gone. Things start drying out. I don't know if you've seen the rivers. They're as low as they would normally be towards the end of August, and they were that low at the 1st of June. There are obvious signs of plentiful fuel that is already dried out all around you. Even in metropolitan downtown Logan, you can see patches here and there. And basically the firefighters are begging the governor's office, the state, to do something. And so this is what they came up with. So again, the way this will work, the executive order grants temporary authority to the state forester to sign off on city and town informed designated fireworks ban areas. This will be done with local fire officials consulting through their cities and towns with the state forester's office. It does allow cities to do partial bans. So maybe you might see in some areas of the state a city saying there's talk of this in Harriman, actually. Harriman has a green side and a brown side basically this year. And so they're saying, well, okay, we might allow personal firework use in driveways and parking lots and parks and things like that on this side of the city. But if you live on this side, nah. By the way, the ticket on this is expensive. And depending on the result of your violation, can include jail time. So this is not a joke. It is unfortunate. I like my fireworks. I know everyone else, well, not everyone else does. My dog, I currently have a dog that doesn't care, but I used to have a dog that cared very much. It was very upsetting for him, and it was irritating when somebody lit their fireworks too late or outside of the legal window. So just follow the rules, if no other reason, as a courtesy. Don't be a jerk. But it is unfortunate. I also feel like the governor is right on this one. Well, as the governor said, he's listening to firefighters. firefighters are looking at the conditions out there, and they're telling the state forester, this year is different. This is way worse. We're going to have a problem when the fireworks start going. So again, this authorizes a potential statewide ban temporarily, July 2nd through the 5th, but it also does it in a nuanced way, which I think is smart. So again, firefighters working with city officials, working with the state forester's office, and of course all of this overseen by the governor's office, will work to come up before July 2nd when these can kick in. They'll work to come up with maps of where fireworks will need to be banned outright, completely restricted use within certain city boundaries throughout the state. During this news conference today as well, the Utah Forester, Fire and State Lands Director Jamie Barnes also announced that the state will be moving to statewide stage 2 fire restrictions this Friday. This means no open fires of any kind on state, private, and unincorporated lands. That's how dry it is out there. So even improved campgrounds. So no open fires on any kind. They said most of the fires that we've been fighting this year, Barnes said, we didn't need to have been fighting in the first place. We're pushing nearly 80% human-caused fires. We track ignition cause closely, and we see the same patterns year after year. This year, it is much worse because there is much more tinder out there to catch. So just a couple 100 miles south of where this press conference happened today, Cottonwood Fire is still 0% contained. This is, by the way, acreage-wise, this is burning outside of Beaver, Utah. Acreage-wise, the Salt Lake Tribune put this in perspective in a story today. Blew me away. This is double the size of San Francisco in burned acres already. And that was a human-caused fire. So I don't remember exactly what on that one. It seems like it was a car. So some reminders again, where you park is important. Watch what you're pulling your car over, your OTV, of course, those catalytic converters and oil pans, and even the rock guards can heat up. So they can get so hot that if you pull over a stand of dry grass, that can be a fire. Nearly burned down the city of Harriman in its fledgling years when there was a big event and everyone was allowed to park in a field. That a few cars went up in smoke and a few homes almost did several years ago. Obviously, target shooting into the dry grasses, boneheaded idea. Dragging chains, grinding, welding, anything that can pop off a spark. The state forester reminds these should be indoor location activities only, or if you can't do them indoors, they need to be far away from sources of fuel, and a water source needs to be nearby. So this is getting pretty serious pretty quickly here in Utah. But again, executive order today issued by the governor's office granting temporary authority to the state forester to prohibit fireworks, working with cities and towns where this needs to happen statewide, July 2nd through July 5th. And local fire officials will get a lot of say in what the conditions are in your local area and whether or not fireworks need to be restricted entirely. So we'll see how this plays out here in Utah. Of course, clock is ticking to get word out on any ban put in place. So I would expect to hear something before the weekend or at the very latest early next week if anything like this is going to be put in place here in Cache Valley. We'll see. I know it's unpleasant. It's a big part of the fireworks celebration or the 4th of July celebration any year, but it's also America 250th birthday of the country. It is what it is. You can't stick your head in the sand and not see what's out there as far as the fire danger and the risk, and it's just not worth it, to be honest with you. So my advice to everybody, forego the personal fireworks if you can. If you can't, keep them to your driveway, keep them low to the ground, keep a water source very close in case of an incident. And, of course, make smart decisions, to say the least. But hopefully we can just get through this with, again, 80% of the fires they're fighting already are human caused. So, all right. That was the big announcement today from Governor Cox. If you'd like to see the poll I talked about showing Utahns, 60% of Utahns, again, oppose the Box Elder County Data Center proposal. And Kevin O'Leary himself, Mr. Wonderful, O'Leary Digital, the company and Shark Tank billionaire behind the proposal in Box Elder County, 6 points underwater with Utahns. Utahns don't like him. Response from O'Leary Digital is basically, this is moving ahead anyway, which led to a remark from House Speaker Mike Schultz watching his friend and peer, Stuart Adams, lose his primary election this year. Schultz, of course, has aspirations for higher office. He's quickly trying to dig himself distance from the Stratus project in Box Elder County, saying that he blames Kevin O'Leary for this playing out the way it did. He said, basically, paraphrasing here, that is, he had a ham-handed approach to this. It created suspicion. He didn't answer questions or reassure the public. Direct quote from the speaker today telling the Deseret News, Kevin O'Leary spent his time lecturing Utahns instead of answering their questions, and it was completely the wrong approach. I blame Kevin O'Leary for this mess. Again, Schultz trying to save face. He wants to run for governor himself one day, and you just watched Stuart Adams get booted from office in a primary loss. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to unfold here in Utah. But again, for their part, O'Leary Digital saying none of this, the elections, the poll released today, none of this stops the project in Box Elder County from moving ahead. The MITA board's already signed off on it. The private transaction for the land has already taken place. And we'll see what happens next. All right. On the other side, speaking of data centers, Cache County Council on Tuesday approved a 6-month moratorium on proposed data centers in Cache Valley. There isn't a proposal. There could be. And the county council acknowledged there are no guardrails in place. They could end up in the same situation that Box Elder County found themselves. So they want to make sure that doesn't happen, and they're giving themselves 6 months to do it. How that might work with Chair of the Cache County Council, Sandi Goodlander, joining us right after this look at the news with KVN News' Will Philwright.
Well, thank you, Jason. A Box Elder Middle School resource officer is facing misdemeanor assault charge after being placed on leave following an incident that happened with a student earlier this year. Now, Casey Carlson was charged with a Class B misdemeanor of assault after an independent investigation was conducted by the Ogden City Police Department. Now, that probe began after the student's parents reported an interaction with the officer to the Box Elder School District, which then filed a complaint on February 24th. Now, Carlson was reportedly placed on administrative leave the following day. Now, the Brigham City Police Department, in a press release yesterday, stated that it is now conducting a separate internal investigation to determine if Carlson broke agency policies, noting that breaking the law and breaking department policies are not the same thing. Now, the department also added that it stands behind Carlson and believes in due process while remaining committed to maintaining school-safe environments. Now, Carlson will remain on leave until the case is resolved in court. Meanwhile, 2 teenagers in southern Utah injured last night after explosive target material that they were experimenting with detonated prematurely, according to the Iron County Sheriff's Office. Now, emergency personnel responded to the scene last night just before 6 o'clock. Officials reported that a total of 4 teenagers were involved in the incident when the material unexpectedly went off. Now, one of the teenagers sustained minor injuries and was treated by paramedics when they arrived on scene. However, the other injured teenager suffered much more serious injuries and had to be flown from the area to a trauma center. And as large wildfires are burning across the state, many local leaders are calling on the state legislature to change a law that prevents cities from enacting citywide firework bans. Now, under Utah code, municipalities can only prohibit fireworks in designated high-risk areas, such as wildland urban interfaces. Now, Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky expressed frustration how after recent fires have occurred in her city, noting that current conditions are too extreme for standard restrictions. Now, she said that we need the state legislature to give cities the authority to act to protect public safety. Now, Governor Spencer Cox and several other mayors have also pleaded with the public to skip personal fireworks this year and instead attend professional displays. Well, some clouds, but otherwise going to be a pretty nice evening tonight as temperatures have been in the high 80s today, and this evening will drop to around 57 overnight for our low, still with some smoke and haze in the skies. Now, heading into tomorrow, sunny skies with some smoke and haze continuing, temperatures staying in the low 90s. Then the storm coming in tomorrow night, and that's going to bring showers, thunderstorms, and some cooler weather for the weekend, as we'll see Saturday's temperatures right around 73, then mid-60s on Sunday, getting back into the low 70s as the storm will clear out Sunday night, and we'll see sunny skies returning for the first of next week. And your weather forecast brought to you by Dr. Keith Nelson, offering board-certified orthopedic surgery and experience in successfully treating sports injuries and arthritis. Get more information about what he can do to eliminate your pain by visiting his website, drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's drkeithnelsonortho.com. And I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Venezuelan officials say at least 188 people are dead, thousands more missing after Wednesday's devastating back-to-back earthquakes. Armando Nori lives in hard-hit Caracas.
We are not prepared for this. We've been living under a government that's neglecting every aspect of the civilian life for the past almost 30 years. So none of us was prepared for this.
The Supreme Court handing President Trump a pair of wins today, ruling that the administration can, on its own, end temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of migrants from Syria and Haiti, and allowing the Trump administration to turn away asylum seekers at the border. The U.S. says, an official says there was an attack on a vessel in the Strait of Hormuz that was carried out by an Iranian drone that caused some damage to the ship's bridge. It's the first known vessel attack since the signing of the memo of understanding between the U.S. and Iran just last week. This is ABC News.
Weeds don't take the summer off, and now, neither does Logan Extermination. Their new specialty lawn spray isn't temperature sensitive, so it keeps fighting weeds even during the hottest days of summer. For just $55, they'll treat up to 1,000 square feet, targeting tough weeds like dandelions, thistle, and the king of all weed kings, morning glory. Call Logan Extermination today at 435-752-8450. That's 752-8450. Online at loganextermination.net, a division of Anderson Seed and Garden.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Hi, this is Blake with Adams Wealth Advisors. Stocks held up generally well today as sector rotation continued. While software and hardware stocks that are more consumer-facing posted significant losses, chip makers experienced exceptional gains after Micron Technology reported phenomenal earnings and provided strong forward guidance. Ironically, the losses among the other technology companies stem from the same factor that boosted chip makers, higher memory chip costs. Over the past year, the AI industry's bottlenecks have shifted significantly. In addition to electricity and grid access, high bandwidth memory, or HBM, chips have become another major constraint. To meet the insatiable demand for AI, chip makers are reallocating production capacity away from traditional memory used in consumer products. That shift is creating widespread shortages across the consumer market. Mixed returns were observed across the major indices. The Dow gained 72 points to 51,921. The Nasdaq declined 0.46%, while the S&P 500 was unchanged at 7,357. Consumer discretionary, communication services, consumer staples, and financials posted losses, while all other sectors advanced, led by industrials and healthcare. The bond market saw little change. The 5-year U.S. Treasury yield declined by 2 basis points to 4.17%, while the 10-year yield fell by 1 basis point to 4.39%. Today's economic release was significant. The Personal Consumption Expenditures, or PCE, price index showed inflation accelerating as expected, while consumers remained resilient with stronger real spending. That further strengthened expectations for future interest rate hikes, with the federal funds futures market now pricing in a rate increase as early as September. Consumer sentiment data will be released tomorrow as we wrap up the week. Adams Wealth Advisors will be back to provide further coverage.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 6th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace and Stove can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, the 6-time Best of Northern Utah gold medalist. 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Celebrate world-class majestic music and spectacular live theater with Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater in Logan. From the revolutionary passion of the Broadway musical 1776 to the comic adventures of the Pirates of Penzance, the heartfelt and intimate The Last 5 Years, and the snappy wit of Scalia Ginsburg with Trial by Jury. Don't miss laughter, inspiration, and the power of live performance. Utah teachers and students get free tickets. UtahFestival.org. That's UtahFestival.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Very special guest joining us here in the studio for a couple of different reasons. One, to dispel some misinformation that, in this day and age, this is such a typical thing to see. But on social media, of course, things tend to take on a life of their own, not always attached to reality. But also to just provide the necessary information for Cache County residents on a big decision that the County Council made this week. Joining us here in the studio, Cache County Council Chair Sandi Goodlander joining us. And Sandi, you're here because on Tuesday, the council decided to move ahead with a positive vote for a 6-month moratorium on proposed data center construction here in Cache Valley. This comes right after we see in Box Elder County 2 county commissioners lose their primaries. State Senate President Stuart Adams losing his primary, mainly, it's easy to assume, because he was also chair of the MIDA board that kind of put Box Elder County in this and the commissioners in this position in the first place. This is Cache County, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Cache County saying, we want to get ahead of this. We don't want to be in the same situation Box Elder County was just put in, but we realize if such a proposal were to arise, we don't really have any rules in place. Am I characterizing it fairly?
You are, Jason. And Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy the chance to chat with you.
Our pleasure. I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, we just talked about amongst ourselves that we don't want to be in the same position that Box Elder County is in, because the way land use law works, once an application comes in for something, you can't change the code and make it retroactive.
Sure.
So if there's not a code in place before the application comes in, then you're stuck. You kind of would be in a bad position. So that's where we felt like, let's just take a pause and find some real information, to find some experts who can inform us and look at things from a position of what do we need to do best to protect the citizens of Cache County, the environment of Cache County.
Sure.
There's a lot of wild accusations out there about this data center is going to ruin the environment. I don't know if that's true or not.
That's a fair question, right? Do
they? Do they?
We have 42 in Utah already.
Yes, there are.
None of them controversial. Now, granted, this one was larger and in a much more rural, water-restricted, or water-starved area. But yeah, these are relevant questions.
Yeah, and one of the questions that I have that I still have yet to get an answer for, I need to get a hold of someone at the state, is Box Elder County was not zoned. So part of the reason MIDA was able to come in and purchase land and drop a project was because there was no zoning. Like, they have portions of their county that is not zoned at all. All of our county is zoned. Our unincorporated areas all have zoning. So does MIDA or Inland Port or some other state agency have the legal ability to do the same thing to us, to override our local control, our local zoning laws, if they decided that it was in their best interest or the best interest of the state to come to Cache County? And I haven't got an answer to that yet. That's one of the things that...
That's a great question.
Yeah, it concerns me and would concern us here in the council. Some of the other things that I have learned just in the last couple of days is that any data center that comes, they have to get air quality permits and water usage permits from the state. Those are not local issues. The local governments have no say in those. They come from the state, and the state has some pretty strict qualifications. And even in the Stratus project in Box Elder County, they have not applied for their water permit yet. They did apply, but then they withdrew their application.
Oh, that's right.
So they dropped this project, caused all the uproar. 2 wonderful commissioners lost their seats.
Yeah.
And the project hasn't even applied for the state permits yet. So they could possibly even be turned down. And the state's going to be really stringent about what kind of water systems they use.
Sure, especially in this area,
yes,
right?
Yeah. And so in the past, there have been data centers that relied on just taking water out of a river or some kind of a water source. But in the last couple of years, I guess the general consensus is that they only use closed-loop systems, which means you fill it up once, and then they keep recycling it, and every once in a while it has to be topped off.
But much more minimal water use.
Much more minimal. So those are the questions we want to answer before we write some kind of a code that will protect our county. And I'm not anti-data center. I'm not pro-data center.
Sure.
I am pro-Cache County, and I want to listen to our constituents and put together something that makes sense for our area.
This is, do we have, I remember Commissioner Lee Perry, days after the May 4th vote and the big protests, he was here on the show, and he brought that land zoning issue up, and he said this has come up in other ways for Box Elder and been a problem in other ways. Yeah. Do we have a lot of, in Cache County, are there a lot of areas that are still just basically completely, this is different than unincorporated.
Yeah.
We're talking about unzoned.
There is nothing in Cache County that is unzoned.
Okay.
All of our unincorporated areas are zoned either FR 40, which is like 40 acre, like up in the mountains, 40 acre lots, or a lot of the ag land is A10. So that would mean that you could build something on every 10 acres.
Okay.
But everything is zoned something. And, that's, as we look ahead at this, Jason, that's another thing that we are currently looking at. Subdivision ordinances, big solar farms that may want to come in with applications.
I was going to say this could come up in ways other than data center, right?
Yeah. So we are right in the middle of crafting things that should take us through the growth of the next 20 years. And we're trying to be really thoughtful about what those things are and to be able to, put in place something that is, and I've said this to you before, 20 years from now, my goal is that people look back and think, they got some things right, and the growth happened in a way that wasn't haphazard and it didn't destroy our water. When you talk about subdivisions out in the unincorporated area, they're all drilling wells, they're having septic tanks. How do we do that safely while still protecting personal property rights? And
which is tough sometimes.
It's a tough balance.
Balance those both.
Yeah.
This is, it was fascinating to see. And again, you almost feel guilty. I almost feel guilty because in a way it's looking at what happened to, because like you, I was a huge fan of Lee Perry. Well, I still am a huge fan of Lee Perry. I think this is a person I actually would have wanted, speaking for my county, moving forward with something like this proposed data center in Box Elder. He knew his stuff. He had weight to throw around with the legislature. He was a smart guy, very thoughtful guy. And but at the same time, I understand voters were just feeling very anti-incumbent. They wanted everybody out because of this. We can avoid all of this based on Box Elder County's lesson. And again, I kind of feel guilty about that. But where do you start? Like, who are the first experts you go talk to? Is that, I realize this wasn't all decided at the vote Tuesday night, but yeah, that's just the first question that pops in my head is, this is a big can of worms.
Yeah, there's a lot of different places that we will gather information. We actually I was at a meeting on Wednesday. That was just yesterday in Salt Lake.
Big week.
It's been a big week. So Utah Association of Counties brought together some developers of data centers. They brought together people from the state water engineers, a lot of different people who presented some information to us that just gives us the resources to where do we look for this information. So I feel like I have a lot more tools in the tool belt. I don't have any answers yet. And we also, there was a bill passed this last legislature. It's HB 76. And that goes into effect on July 1st. And it's about data centers. And it basically says that any centers that use more than 75 acre feet of water annually they have to publish exactly, they have to be metered. They have to publish what the meters say. They have to show what they're doing to mitigate any kind of pollution or any negative effects. They have to show all of that publicly. So the state is working with us as well to try and protect the counties and the different areas. It's just so unfortunate that the big center in Box Elder County happened the way that it did, because it could have done a lot. It could have been done a lot better.
Seems like just a few small changes to the process. You could have had the public buy-in, had the, explain things, answered some questions for the public in advance. Maybe things would have all played out very differently. Because as you said, we don't have a lot of these answers. Even Dr. Robert Davies, I remember saying when he was asked to weigh in on from the USU Climate Center on the potential heat island effect of a big data center like this, he said, we don't know. The research suggests it's definitely a possibility, but we don't know. We don't know. And I thought, well, we should figure these things out first. So I was really happy to see the county take this approach. Now, this gives you 6 months, basically, to get, and I assume that, at the end of that 6 months, if there are a few ducks still not in a row, you can continue to work on those. But this will create a basic framework.
Yes, we hope to have something passed that we can build on if we need to. And part of what I would like to include in that ordinance is to say that any data centers that come or the big energy, they have to produce so much energy. So that's a part of it, is those energy producers. That a part of their permitting process is they have to hold 2 public hearings maybe, or they have to give the public at least 30 days notice, or, we can control that. We can manage that at this point in the process. And, we haven't had those discussions as a whole council yet. Obviously, these are just my personal thoughts, but I think we can move towards some of those things that'll really be the best thing for the Cache County residents and for our beautiful valley.
That is honestly excited to see where this goes. And we should point this out for listeners as well, because this is going to be happening in this process this way in Cache County. One of the issues in Box Elder was the public felt kind of cut out of that. The opposite will happen here. These will be public meetings. These will be county council meetings you can attend and find out more yourself. These will be, opportunities for the county council to actually get information out, maybe even, survey the public and things like that. And as Sandi has pointed out to us here, this doesn't just apply to data centers. That didn't even cross my mind, the idea of a solar farm or other large issues or other large proposals that might pop up. This is,
one other thing that I want to clarify too.
A lot.
Is the moratorium that we passed only applies to the unincorporated parts of Cache County.
Sure.
The cities are their own. They get to make their own rules and regulations.
And Logan City is actually talking. They're discussing this at their own council meeting next Tuesday, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah.
So unincorporated areas only. If you'd like to see the moratorium that was passed as writ, I've linked to it on our Facebook page. It's also available at cachecounty.gov. And thank you to our guest, Chair of the Cache County Council, Sandi Goodlander, coming down and answering some of these questions today, hopefully clearing up misinformation that might be out there. There was a lot going around in Weber and Box Elder counties about the Cache County vote, basically saying, look, they got it right. Why didn't Box Elder? Well, this is the lesson learned playing out here, unfortunately. And Cache County Council getting on top of it. We should be excited. And Sandi, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Always a pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for your time as well. Stick around. Just a couple of more minutes. We'll wrap things up here on the show right after this.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. It looks like you have some fancy new locations around Logan and Ogden.
Yes, sir. We're right next to McDonald's on US 89 in Logan and in Ogden on 12th between Lincoln and Washington. We dig this area. But the best part is saving the drive altogether and applying from the comfort of your couch at don'tbebroke.com.
I kind of like stopping by.
Good call, and it's really worth the drive. We've been processing our $5,000 short-term loans over 28 years, and our customers just love doing business with the DLC. In nearly every instance, we're around half the cost of the payday and title lenders.
Dollar Loan Center lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by in Logan, Ogden, or any of our 15 Utah locations to meet our real friendly staff. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval. Limitations may apply. See website for details.
The Murdoch Auto Team has been part of Utah's automotive fabric for over 100 years, a century of building a name you can trust.
And it's been a privilege for the Murdoch family to grow alongside this community. We are so proud to have served our friends and neighbors for generations.
Now we're carrying that same commitment forward as we head to a new horizon, driving together into a bigger, brighter future.
You've got to come and see us at any of our 10 locations across the Wasatch Front or online at murdochautotteam.com.
Constantly sneezing, having itchy eyes, or runny nose? It's allergy season. This is Dr. Tyson Brown with Budge Clinic's Allergy and Immunology team. We can help you get the relief you need. Having the only board-certified allergist in the Valley, Budge Allergy Clinic offers allergy testing, allergy shots, and treatment, and much more. Call the clinic and book your appointment today, 435-266-4735. That's 435-266-4735, or search Budge Allergy Clinic for details.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free hearing evaluation with Dr. Paul Danes, where he can customize a hearing improvement program to meet your needs. Call 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
Back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Weeds don't take the summer off, and now, neither does Logan Extermination. Their new specialty lawn spray isn't temperature sensitive, so it keeps fighting weeds even during the hottest days of summer. For just $55, they'll treat up to 1,000 square feet, targeting tough weeds like dandelions, thistle, and the king of all weed kings, morning glory. Call Logan Extermination today at 435-752-8450. That's 752-8450. Online at loganextermination.net, a division of Anderson Seed and Garden.
Northern Utah has spoken, and the results are in. The Best of Northern Utah 2026 winners have been announced. See which businesses earn top honors. Pick up your free Winners Magazine at locations throughout Cache Valley, or check out the complete results online at bestofnorthernutah.com. Thank you for supporting our local businesses that make our community great. Best of Northern Utah 2026 is proudly presented by Alpine Cleaning and Restoration.
Best of Northern Utah.
Northern Utah, this is attorney Jace Allen, and thank you for voting the Allies Law Firm Gold winner in 5 categories of the Best of Northern Utah, including estate planning, family law, criminal defense, personal injury, and best law firm overall. Whether you need help protecting your family, navigating divorce, defending your rights, or pursuing justice after an injury, our team is here to help. From all of us at the Allies Law Firm, thank you for your support and your vote. The Allies Law Firm. We plan, we fight, you win.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Thank you again to Sandi Goodlander for coming down. Very rushed, but she was kind enough to give us some of her time on short notice. Again, this was an attempt to clear up some misinformation. The council vote happened Tuesday. Pretty straightforward. Moratorium, 6-month moratorium to give the county some time to get all their ducks in a row on large development proposals like a data center or a solar array farm, things like that. Realizing after watching what happened in Box Elder County that the guardrails weren't in place, the county could be put in the same tough position that Box Elder County was put in by the state board, which is really to blame, I think, for most of the confusion and backlash over this proposed data center. The county obviously thought we can avoid that, but we've got to get to work now. The way it was being shared around Box Elder and Weber counties, though, it was being touted as a ban. This isn't a ban on the development. This is a very responsible, careful approach from the county, and it's one the public gets to be a part of, which is wholly different than what the MIDA board did to Box Elder County. So really good news. Check it out.